Hello and welcome to another episode of the Daily Aztec Live. I'm Alexa Oslowski.
And I'm Angela Kurish. We're following breaking news this evening as University President Adela de la Torre is making the executive decision to suspend all fraternities following a medical emergency this week. Police came to the area after a 911 call where a student reportedly needed medical attention after attending a fraternity event on Wednesday night. SDPD and the university aren't giving out any information at the moment while the investigation is ongoing. But for now, all interfraternity council houses will not be recognized by SDSU, and all social events are suspended. This move is affecting all 14 IFC fraternities on campus and over 1,400 members. There is no word on the students' health at the moment or the fraternity where the incident took place. We'll keep you updated now at all latest information where the Daily Aztec. Stay tuned for more info.
In 1 year, San Diego will have just voted on its new mayor, and this week the three candidates continued their debate right here on campus at Montezuma Hall. The three Democrats discussed transit, the SDSU West site, and how they plan on creating more opportunities for SDSU students to remain in San Diego after they graduate.
So Alexa, I know that you actually attended this event. What were your key takeaways from the debate?
So I think that all three candidates did a great job of addressing issues that take priority here for SDSU students, while also addressing issues that the whole community is affected by. So I'm interested to see how these debates continue, what plans they propose, and what will come as we approach the election next year. And Angela, what are your thoughts? What would you like to see a future mayor address?
You know, as a student, I'm really curious to see what the candidates will be discussing with housing. Ever since I've been at San Diego State, each year there's been new student houses being built, or student apartments being built, new dorms being built, if not being renovated. So I'm curious to see what they have in store for the future.
Up next, San Diego State is partnering with Southwestern College to receive a $5 million federal grant for transfer students majoring in STEM fields. The purpose of this grant is to provide transfer students with more research opportunities and offer more support in their transition to SDSU. Although this grant only benefits STEM majors, it is a step in the right direction in helping transfer students make the most out of their time here at State.
If approved by the university, you may see a fee increase of about $100 going towards mental health resources and identity centers. Specifically, these fees will provide more therapists and support staff for proposed cultural centers such as the Pacific Islander Lounge and the Native American Resource Center. To gain more student input, these organizations, as well as several others, will be hosting open forums throughout the semester.
So Angela, what are your thoughts on these new proposed student fees?
I think the idea behind these funds are great. However, I think it's still a little too soon to tell how the money will be used specifically. Of course, any fee increase would make any student anxious. So I'm excited to see what the school will decide on the 22nd when they make their final decision.
Those are all the top news stories for this week. But before we hand it off to sports, touching back to the decision to suspend every and all fraternities on campus, investigations into several of these fraternities are still ongoing from earlier this semester. Amal Yunus has more on the story.
Last year, when 6 out of 15 fraternities were under investigation regarding numerous issues, the Interfraternity Council set a self-imposed social moratorium. This year is no different with fraternities under investigation regarding similar issues. So why is there no social moratorium now?
The social moratorium, also known as a party ban, prevented all Greek houses from participating in events with alcohol. This was a sweeping ban for all Greek houses, regardless if they were under investigation or not.
One of the things that's important to recognize around the social moratorium, it was a student-driven decision. And so while we're able to look at individual investigations that may be occurring or the organizations, it is something that typically is something that would be a broader conversation with the students first.
In order for the social moratorium to end last year, members from all fraternities had to attend workshops about hazing, drug abuse, and toxic masculinity. The IFC president this year, Stephen Plant, said he is taking a more individualistic approach to each investigation.
At this point, I don't believe that a social moratorium is going to fix all our issues. There's a common misconception that people think that a social moratorium would somehow fix everything that's been happening. But what I believe that we truly need is to educate our new members.
With no social moratorium, many of the investigative fraternities are in interim suspension. with a variety of social restrictions depending on the charges each house is facing. Randy Tim, Dean of Students, says these investigations are anywhere from hazing to alcohol violations and what he called inclusive issues.
So sometimes people choose to have party themes that may be offensive to other people, that may disparage another group of people or place them in a bad light. And that is, it may be an opportunity to have free speech, but you also have the freedom of getting the criticism for choosing that theme.
Plant said while the university is handling the investigations, the IFC is putting their focus on revamping their new member orientation.
Currently, there has been no rulings on any of the ongoing investigations. And for the Daily Aztec, I'm Emma Yunus.
That report by Amal Yunus was made before this breaking news about the frat suspension. But as previously mentioned, the investigations are still ongoing. We'll keep you updated on the latest here at the Daily Aztec. Moving on to sports, it was a blowout. San Diego State had no issue brushing aside Texas Southern in the team's home opener on Tuesday. The Aztecs got off to a hot start in the first half en route to a 77-42 win. The smell of kettle corn filled the air, and Aztecs fans were back in their seats to witness the big win. Here with me is sports editor Aaron Tolentino. Aaron, you were at the game. What was the environment like at Viejas?
Honestly, being back there, it's the second year that I have on the basketball beat. It never gets old, walking into Viejas, seeing the big crowd, excited fans from all over San Diego really support these Aztecs. But one big takeaway in that first half I noticed was 15 first turnovers the Aztecs had against Texas Southern and only allowed 13 points. I mean, that's a stat you don't see very often, but that kind of just showed a glimpse of how dominant SDSU was in that game against Texas Southern. And one of the reasons they were able to be dominant was a three-point party led by junior guard Jordan Shackle. So in those first 9 minutes, I couldn't tell, was it Klay Thompson on that court or was it Jordan Shackle? I mean, those guys, he was 11 points in 9 minutes, 4 for 4 from the field. He had three threes from beyond the arc, and he was just scorching hot. I mean, he ended up with 15 points, career-high 4 threes, and was 5% from the field. But it wasn't just Shackle who got it going. The whole team had it going in that first half. So the team shot 9 of 17 from beyond the arc, which was 52%. That's a crazy stat. I mean, you got guys like KJ Fagan joining the fun, Malachi Flynn, Matt Mitchell, and even freshman Kashad Johnson joining on the party. So these guys were all making their perimeter shots, which ended up having the Aztecs ended up having a 20-0 run in that first half, which led to a 48-13 halftime lead for the Aztecs. So from then on, it was pretty much over. And as you said, the Aztecs ended up winning 77-42. And after the game, head coach Brian Dutcher gave his thoughts on his team's performance last Tuesday. Take a listen.
Well, good half. It was a fun half. The first half was fun to watch. We guarded at elite level, shared the ball, played well. And then the second.
Well, Aaron, the game wasn't televised, and I know we've seen that with football, so that's pretty unfortunate. So I wasn't able to make it to the game, but I kept updated through listening to it on the radio and keeping updated with live stats as well. So just being able to observe the statistics and all that, I think my biggest takeaway was how the Aztecs went 12 for 26 from the free throw line. That's 46.2%. And that's just not going to cut it moving forward. I think that's a point of concern for Coach Dutcher moving forward. And the Aztecs are going to be facing tougher competition. They're going to be playing in these conference games, and they're also going to be playing in these closer games as well throughout the season as the season progresses. So the Aztecs really need to be taking advantage of these free throws and just these free points. You just got to make these free points at the line because those can pay dividends as the season moves on, and especially leading into competition like the Mountain West tournament, that's going to definitely be playing a factor there.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Aztecs free throw shooting as one of the concerns. So when's the next time the Aztecs and men's basketball can address these concerns?
Well, they're going to be taking on BYU tomorrow in Provo, Utah. It's going to be a tough environment for the Aztecs, but I think they can handle it. Obviously, we all know the history between these two teams, the rivalry, so it should be a good one to look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, just look back to those days of Kawhi Leonard going up against Jimmy Fredette. So if Saturday is any glimpse of where we had those battles in the past, it will be a good one.
And also on tomorrow is the homecoming football game. That's going to be at 7:30 at SDCCU Stadium. The Aztecs are going to be taking on Nevada. So Aztecs fans, be there, wear red. It's a red out, so show your support for the team. Well, that's all we got going on this week. If you liked what you saw, visit our website to read more about what we talked about today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.